How did you get involved in politics after having a career in the music industry?
It was really random. It was kind of out of nowhere. I never had an interest in politics. I was never politically active. I never worked on a campaign. I voted because my dad told me to. And I left the music industry. I moved back home to North Carolina, and it was right around the time that the 2008 election was really heating up, and Sarah Palin had just been brought on, and there was all this controversy, and I started paying attention, and I was working a dumb temp job, and they didn't expect me to do anything, so I sat there and was obsessed over blogs all day. And after the election, it was 2 days after the election, like November 5th was my day of mourning, and then November 6th, I kind of just started writing because I didn't know what else to do. I'm a writer by nature, and I just started blogging, and from there, within a few months, I was getting asked to do radio spots. Then after that, it was a radio show, and then it was speaking at tea parties and rallies and that sort of thing all over the country, and then it was doing panels for conferences, and then next thing I knew, I was in Washington. But it all happened, I guess November of '08 is when I really became active, and I've only been in DC for a few months now, so.
Can you tell us about your day job at FreedomWorks in DC?
Yes, I am the interactive media coordinator, so that means I play on the internet a lot. I do a lot of Twittering, I do a lot of Facebook, I do a lot of blogging, blogger outreach, podcasting, that sort of stuff. Just anything new media, anything internet based is pretty much what I handle. I also help Adam, who is our press guy, help him with some media backstop stuff, doing clips, doing, you know, that sort of handling reporters, that sort of stuff around here, so it keeps me busy.
You talked about your radio show. Was that the first job you had in DC, or?
No, the podcasting thing, radio thing started while I was still back in North Carolina. I was just kind of doing it here and there, you know, and I have a producer who works out of Pennsylvania, and we've kind of formed our own little production team. There's a group of us that kind of work together, and we broadcast on RFC radio, and we do our podcasting. We kind of co-host together and kind of work together and share a producer, and it's been something that's really fun. I never, you know, like everything was just kind of a surprise. I never thought I'd end up on radio, but gotten a really good response from it. It's really fun. I really enjoy it. I love getting a chance to bring in guests and people that I would never normally get a chance to have a conversation with, and really getting a chance to pick their brain and ask questions and hopefully spread some more information to people that are actually listening.
You also work for SGP. Can you tell us about your role?
I do. I am the new media director for Smart Girl Politics, which is a grassroots conservative women's organization. And we started about the time that I started blogging, and it was totally just, hey, I want to start a conservative women's movement, let's do something. And I read the ad on my friend Stacy's blog, and it kind of, a couple days later, we started a Ning site, and next thing we knew, we had a few hundred members, and then we had a few thousand members, and then we were hosting our own conferences by the fall. So that snowballed really quick, but it's been really fun to kind of see women get more active and see them play a bigger role in the election process and, you know, just the movement in general, because a lot of times, I mean I'm sure, you know, as a girl, there aren't a lot of us. There aren't a lot of women bloggers, there aren't a lot of women radio hosts, so it's kind of very male dominated, and it's really nice to kind of see women have a platform and have a place where they can go and organize and work together and express things and toss around ideas, and it's been very rewarding.
You've been very successful using new media and lots of social networking to reach out to young conservatives, women in particular. Can you tell us what other avenues you can take or what you expect to do?
Well, new media is kind of my thing, and I don't think that that's something that's ever I think it's the new way of doing things. I think it's a new way of communication. I mean, obviously, you know, I still email and I still use my phone and I still talk to people, but I think that we're going to see more and more growth in the new media direction, and I think that you're going to see more and more people spread message that way and really start to embrace it. I think that's the basis for what we've been able to accomplish in the Tea Party movement and the conservative movement as a whole in the past year and a half. I mean, it really began on the internet. It began with Rick Santorum Telly's rant, and we started organizing around that. We started, through Twitter, through Facebook, and it's the fastest way to communicate with people. It's the most, you get the best response that way. I mean, we can send out emails to 100,000 people and get maybe an 18% open rate on a good day. But new media, people are always going to look at their Facebooks, they're always going to check their Twitter accounts. So I think it's definitely something that's going to continue to grow. And I think that organizations like FreedomWorks and like Smart Girl Politics really are doing a good job to embrace that and embrace new ways of getting information out, whether it's podcasting, blogging, or social media itself.
What is the main sort of information and message that you want to get across to young conservatives right now?
Get involved. I mean, there's so many different ways to get involved, and people look at the problem and they get so jaded, they get so cynical, they get so intimidated by the process, by the scope of government and what we're dealing with, and how big the problems seem to be and how big the legislation is, and everything just looks, it turns into this like monster. And you've got these 2,000+ page bills. You've got, the longest State of the Union last night. It was one of the top 3 longest State of the Union addresses ever. And that kind of stuff, you look at it and it's like there's so much going on. How do you even begin to have any impact? And you can. And I mean, I'm somebody that had no political background at all, and I start blogging and get on Twitter, and you really start to see change, and you really start to connect with people, and you really start to network with people. And me by myself has no power at all. But the people I've been able to connect with and the network that was, I mean, there really is already in place. Getting a chance to be a part of that, you can really make things happen. And we've really, as a group, as a movement, accomplished so much in the past year. And it's definitely something that young people in particular can embrace and start to embrace and should embrace.
What does being conservative mean to you?
It makes sense. It's rational. It's common sense conservatism. It's okay, we don't have money, stop spending it. It's not something that you need to be a scholar to understand. Americans are fiscal conservatives are the center of American politics. We've been saying that a lot around the office lately, but it makes sense. If you're out of money, you have to find ways to not spend as much. People resonate with that, they understand that. And that's the core of what it means to me, is if I have a choice between making a decision or letting the government make a decision for me, I want the power to make my decision at the end of the day.